The mechanism. All of the inconsistencies are deeply rooted in the unconscious psychological protection mechanism, commonly referred to as a transference or negative attribution. This concept is more fully described in Chapter 13 of Volume 1. Briefly, neo-feminists recognize and despise in themselves certain negative personality traits. Instead of working to try and improve themselves, it is much easier to simply claim that everyone is just as messed up as they are. This way, everyone is the same, and the contrast between good people and bad people disappears. The non role of men. Curiously, neo-feminists complain bitterly that men seem to be uninterested in commitment while they work diligently for no-fault divorce and revel in their newfound freedom to sleep around, which is in turn enabled by contraception and abortion, both of which every neo-feminist supports to the hilt. Men have been one moment. Men have been totally cut out of most fundamental decision of all whether or not to have a child. It is no surprise that a man who has been forcibly disenfranchised in such a manner feels like an unequal partner and therefore is not particularly motivated to work as hard in a relationship. Why should he invest his time in an unequal relationship? The woman can kill his child no matter how badly he wants to be a father. But if he does not want a child and she does, he is out of luck. He will be forced to support that child for 18 years. Neo-feminists are incredibly callous about the pain that men suffer from abortion. Sociologist Arthur Shostak, who experienced the male side of pain over abortion when his own lover went through one, said that abortion is one of the major death experiences that men go through. It resurrects very important, very primitive issues, memories and feelings. The response of neo-feminists was typically uncaring and self-centered. Louis Tyrer, vice president of medical affairs of Planned Parenthood, replied that it doesn't matter how much men scream and holler that they are being left out of the abortion decision. There are some things that they are never going to be able to fully experience. I say tough luck. Wow. Here we go. 1 second. Just skip the chapter on me. 1 second. Imagine what would happen if a man said the same thing about a woman miscarrying. Wow. Men can't excuse themselves from responsibility of parenthood, but women can by merely saying, I don't want that child, I'm not ready for that child, or that child will ruin my career. Yet women demand and use just such phrases to justify the vast majority of their abortions. For a list of actual reasons cited by women for obtaining abortion, see Chapter 87, Volume 2, Statistics on Abortion. In other words, men are expected to be mature and accept the consequences of their actions, while women demand that they not be held to the same standards. They don't have to because they possess the great social erasure, abortion. This is yet another world-class neo-feminist inconsistency. They resist what they call mandatory motherhood, but are perfectly happy to impose mandatory fatherhood on men if the mood strikes them. The seeds of failure. Unfortunately for them, the neo-feminists cannot possibly succeed in their multiple missions. Instead of the weakening, the patriarchy, the unknowingly working hard to strengthen the very system that oppresses men. that oppresses them. Instead of weakening the patriarchy, they are unknowingly working hard to strengthen the very system that oppresses them. One moment. That's what it's saying. Oh, they took me back to the top again, y'all. It's just hate on me right now. That's alright. Neo-feminists strengthen their oppressors by corrupting and diluting the central principles of true feminism. They do this by embracing what they say are typical patriarchal faults, equals unequally. What? 1 second. They do this by embracing what they say are typical patriarchal faults, treating equals unequally, and allowing the strong to oppress the weak. Nowhere is this more glaringly evident with abortion. As long as neo-feminists continue to complain about gender oppression while simultaneously oppressing others, the unborn, on a massive scale, they will rightly be perceived as inconsistent hypocrites. I don't mean to laugh, I'm sorry, but it just tickles me. Therefore, their support base will continue to remain narrow and unfocused, and any advances will occur purely as a result of motivating others, such as the court system, to do their work for them. As anyone knows, it is hard to motivate people to work. For a moment, that is basically hypocritical and, above all, self centered. The next part is going to be how the neo feminist agenda advances in government.